Woohoo!
Rob, how are you doing?
I'm still trying to wake up, you
Did
know?
you gain weight after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, yeah. But I've gained weight all year, you
It's
know.
been a long Thanksgiving. It started like early March.
Yes, yes. And
Stay home and eat.
I feel really, yeah, it's like, yeah, I feel bad about that. And then I feel even worse. I was listening to, I don't know, somebody's podcast or something on the radio, and basically they were saying, well, people took one of two directions with COVID. They either decided to get really healthy and they just went crazy and they're working out and they're eating healthy. And then there's those other people who just started drinking and gained weight. I'm like, yeah.
I think you got to hang out with some of your boat buddies because I guess when you were in the Navy, you were kind of fit. I
Yeah,
assume.
yeah. You have to be, right? Yeah.
Wine guys don't fit in submarines.
No, they don't. No. Yeah, it's tough getting through that hatch. Um, it's funny you say that. I can think in my mind, I'm thinking of funny scenarios where, you're on the top deck of the submarine, about to get underway, and you kind of look at the overweight guy, and then you look down at the hatch and you're like, Or it's funny, the showers on the submarine are really small, all kind of metal. And if I remember right, the door opens into the shower and it's more like a square. It's not like a rectangle. It's just not a lot of room. And so it opens in and you're having to kind of get around and like that.
You know that engineer never took a shower in his entire life.
Absolutely.
He never humiliated himself in trying that door naked.
Yeah. And so there's the notion it's hard enough for
5 other guys outside waiting.
Yeah. And so a heftier person, it's like they might not be able to close the door. In fact, they may just have to have the shower with the door open because they can't scooch around,
You're in that boat, you're going to be down there for 3 months. Like eventually you got to walk in on someone, right? Might as well open up. Like, I'm showering naked. I don't know what you wear when you shower. And if you want to look, have a look, right?
Yeah. And that was a whole deal. Like they would impress upon us was the showers, you had to be very efficient or frugal with the water because, the submarine's pulling in seawater and then doing a distillery, a desalination deal to, and so to have fresh water, right? You're getting rid of the salt. And then of course we're making air and things like that and sending CO2 overboard. But so water is always at a premium. And so the shower had to be really fast, just a few minutes, less than 5 minutes, maybe even shorter. And the other thing you had to learn about was not only is it very short, but you'd get in the shower, turn on the water, get your hair wet, whatever, and then you have to turn it off again. And then do the soap and all that. Yeah. And then turn the water back on to get it off and then turn it off again. And so and then you had to wipe down all the interior of the shower, the metal or whatever. I guess you just called it a wipe down.
Because there were no,
I'm nothing serious. Just you had a rag or you had something. And, but that was like a thing. I remember that being a thing. You had to, and people might even complain if they were allowed to get in the shower after you and they saw like soap on the side of the wall or something like that. They're like, dude.
Well, they didn't think it was soap. That's the problem, right? They were unsure whether that was soap or not, right? And they were like, dude, you fucking wipe this off, right? I'm not going to touch you or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point. So,
right?
And then if you took a shower that was too long, that was referred to as a Hollywood shower.
Hollywood shower.
Yeah, they go, hey, are you in there taking a Hollywood shower, shipmate? And so, they give you shit for that, and of course, if it was someone more senior or the chief of the boat, you could be in big trouble for taking a Hollywood shower.
So there's a Swedish company in southern parts of Sweden who's actually working with NASA on shower heads and thinking of the Seinfeld episode of shower heads, how important they are for a good experience in the shower. But this one is reducing the water by, I think, so the shower head is reducing it by, I'd say 80%, which is a lot when it comes to shower.
Yeah.
Like a 10-minute shower is 2 minutes. And 5 minutes is twice as long as you got in the boat, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
And then it also recycles the water. So it's a micro recycling, like light recycling. Because most of the water that rinses off is actually clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could just run that through a simple filter and
Right.
push that back up again.
Push it up
And you'd
again.
be like, unless you pee in the shower, and you should in a boat anyway, or in a space station, you'd be fine, right?
Yeah. What could go
And
wrong?
no,
Yeah.
well, you're in space, so
Yeah. A lot could go wrong.
that's your least problem if the shower isn't working, right?
Exactly. I mean, aren't the astronauts already learning how to drink their own pee? Like,
That's more mental thing, I think. I like, so they purify it. I
yeah.
understand, but the mental thing is hard on you
Yeah.
because
It's
you know
like,
what water you brought up.
yeah.
So they found a secondary market. So in Sweden we have a big archipelago, right?
Yeah.
Most of these islands actually they have desaltation stations
Okay.
because it's on a small island. It's really hard to get fresh water. Like even if you're on a like a rock island, solid mountain, you'd have to like my uncle. They're on an island, and I think they drilled 60 meters deep, and it's still salty-ish water.
Yeah.
Like we have this salt half 50-50 water,
Yeah.
so it's half and half salt and fresh.
Interesting.
But so they have a desaltation station, but they were looking at buying one of those because now they know that when they shower, it has a huge impact, like on the amount of water that they can desaltate continuously, right?
Right.
So one of those would reduce. I think they said they would reduce the water consumed in a shower by 95% with
amazing.
the recycling and the shower head being.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
And we don't think about it, but water is one of those things that is really expensive. Like from an energy consumption point of view, like you turn on the hot water, you don't think of it, right? You let it rinse it, get the water get all steamy because that's what you want when you walk in. But all that water is fresh water. It wasn't fresh initially. Like most of our water comes from dirty lakes that we purify, and we spend all these effort getting clean, and then we just down, and we flush it down in the same pipe as we do with all other wastewater.
Right.
I don't know. In Sweden, it's called like brown water.
Yeah.
So brown water comes from the households, and gray water from industries. Gray water is expensive to purify because it could have all these metals and chemicals in it.
Yeah.
But whatever you get from a household on a grand scale of things, like when you flush, it's, I don't know, it's 4 gallons to flush, perhaps.
Maybe one.
Like
I don't know.
Maybe it's 1 gallon and 4 liters. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then you take a shower or you fill up the bathtub. That's thousands of liters. And if you have a little bit of soap in there, it'll go away in the filters, right?
Right. Totally.
But if we could all reduce the amount of water that we consume, like even if it's just a stupid thing, like we were on a car ride and we stopped at a gas station because the little guy had to go pee pee, and he was washing his hands, and it was just a spray that came out from the faucet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is brilliant because my hands got really wet.
Yeah.
So I got every water I needed, but no more than that. And it said, like, yeah, we're saving 60,000 liters of water. That's what?
Wow.
15,000 gallons
of
water from this faucet every year.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Why wouldn't everyone be enforced to have that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can have a bottle, and then people go, well, but people refill their water bottles. Yeah, but why don't we have one of those water bottle replenishers that we have in like airports, right?
Yeah.
Where it says, every time you use this, you save this amount of plastic from not buying it over there.
Right.
And then once again, you save the planet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It sounds like you're on track to save the planet single-handedly right now.
That's one of the things I'm like. I want a purpose in life, and I kind of think that's one of the things that I can use technology for good. In that sense. So absolutely. I'm inspired by you and others and how you constantly think about it, and then I try to be curious about the environment because there's so many things, small things that we can do.
Yeah.
That would impact. Like I'm all like I enjoy life. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those who would just like give up everything to save the planet.
Right.
No, that's not me. But there are technology things that we could do that would actually help really fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do want to get those spread out. So I think that's
yeah. Well, yeah, you're talking about just, getting salt out of water,
Oh,
desalination, that's such a big deal around the world, as we're going through this weird time of, of climate change and all these other things. And sometimes we're seeing lots of more droughts, but then we're seeing weird flooding in other places. And I'm always surprised by weird things like, for instance, a place that is not having a lot of water and having lots of droughts all the time is Australia. It's like almost every year, and we had horrible fires last year, and it's their summertime now, and it's already insanely hot. Like, it's hotter than they've ever been before. And I know everybody's freaked out that they're going to have giant fires again like they did last year, and there's the water problem. And so gosh, I know they built these desalinated plants, Saudi Arabia, lots of other places are building them because they live in the desert. um, it's like someone needs to, and I know there's people heads down working. I'll see these, what do they call them? X prize for whatever, hey, here's $10 million if you can figure out this thing. And so I'll read stuff from time to time about people, because that's one thing I always felt like if we could really nail that, as far as, because the way we get salt out of seawater today takes a lot of energy, apparently.
that's not good.
Yeah, because they're forcing it through a filter, this reverse osmosis thing they call it,
Yeah.
and it just takes tons of energy to get it out, and so people are trying to find different ways to do it, because on the big scheme of things, if we're losing water, we don't have enough, it's weird when I think about
You
there's
could also make choices. Like in California, you had crazy fires last year, right?
yes, yeah,
But you also have one of the biggest almond plantations.
yeah,
And almonds require crazy amount of water.
yeah,
The
yeah,
fuck?
I
Like,
know.
why would they be allowed to use fresh water for a luxury product like almonds?
That's a
It's
good
not the
point.
bread and butter. It's not, potato, it's not grains, it's
Right,
not livestock, it's not greens.
yeah,
It's an almond to make milk for those who don't want to drink dairy milk.
yeah,
You can make oat milk, you can make like all kinds of other milk, but
right,
like almond milk became this trendy thing for a lot of
yeah,
people.
yeah.
Uh,
I
and
don't
I
know how
think
that happened. Yeah, it's crazy.
it's Instagram.
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably. Well, I mean, agriculture apparently uses more water than anything else, just by
It does,
default,
yeah.
like
But
60% or more.
I know, but it's also unfair. Like in Sweden, there was a study showing how much water like a ton of beef is consuming in order to become beef.
Yeah.
Uh, and then someone like vegans were using, oh look, it's bad for the climate. And then someone like a guy called meteorologist, those who study the weather,
Yeah,
they
meteorologist.
looked
Yeah.
at it and they're like, oh yeah, but 98% of this weather comes from clouds. Like 98% of this water that they use actually in Sweden comes from clouds because it rains a lot here, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't have watering stations in fields.
Oh, you don't need
Well,
them.
no, you
No.
need them one every 15 years and
Yeah.
just way too expensive to do.
Yeah. Right. Right. And that's how it is in the Seattle, the Pacific Northwest. It's very wet. Yeah.
That's not how it is in like when you fly across like Australia is one of the countries that come to mind, but US also, like
Yeah.
the fields are round.
Yes.
They're round because that's where the sprinklers.
Yes. I was talking to a guy I met. He's in Tasmania.
Oh, he's a Tasmanian devil.
Yes, yes. So I guess you can take a ferry from Melbourne, Australia to get there, and I guess you can fly there. He actually reached out to me because of the Moab stuff, because he's doing stuff in agriculture and getting sensors, and was really interested in the technology and maybe putting those two together. And anyway, we were talking about that, and he had a lot of background information around agriculture, and he talked about the development of that particular pump and sprinkler that was created somewhere in the Midwest 70 years ago or 100 years ago or whatever. And then that company has sold it to the whole world. He said his eye opening was like he was looking at a Google Earth or something and zooming in on the Midwest of the United States, and you get closer and closer, and then you realize it's all these circles of green.
It can be so inefficient.
It is. And he said something that freaked me out. He said they could be just a few, the aqueduct, the reservoirs, the, what do you call it, that's underneath, deep under the ground. Anyway, the aquifer of water that's kind of underground. He said he's read, because of just crazy usage of those, because people just use them and they don't think there's any consequence, right? He was saying he read stuff, those guys could be several years away from depleting that aquifer that's underground throughout the Midwest. And then he said the other crazy thing was then it could possibly take thousands of years to recharge, to refill that aquifer through natural purposes.
Yeah.
I probably am not getting that right, but that was the gist of what he said. And he was like blasting. He's like, the invention of that sprinkler pump thing has been good and bad for the planet.
Imagine if it's only using a circle, right? The area of that circle is what, r square pi, and that if you take that, the square that the circle fits in, it's like 4r squared. So it's only using 80% of the land.
Right.
It's like crazy inefficient.
Yeah. Exactly. Which is the opposite of what, like, years ago the Israelis had to do to, when you live in a desert, they're the ones who invented drip irrigation and realized that, hey, you actually can grow crops with tiny amounts of water. Whereas in the US, we're just flooding water on top of everything,
Because more is more, right?
Of course. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. Yeah, water's a big deal, isn't it? Conserving it, getting it, yeah, if we could find a super efficient way to get salt out of water, because obviously there's lots of water in the ocean. If we could just get it to the agriculture, to the people somehow,
Yeah, it feels like, but I want to get to that place where you understand. Imagine full transparency of a supply chain, right?
Yeah.
So I'm standing in the grocery store. I'm looking at tomatoes, right? Tomatoes, that would have been another guy. Tomatoes I'm looking at, and some are from Spain, some are from Sweden, some are from Holland, and some are like eco-friendly, some are natural. I don't know the impact of those on the climate. I know, to me, something grown close to Sweden seems more reasonable.
Yeah.
But then I know in Spain, they grow like apples out in Sweden, like anywhere, right? And in Holland, they are in greenhouses, but they're not powered.
Yeah.
Holland is south of Sweden. In Sweden, I know for sure they're in greenhouses with heat on.
Yes.
Because that's the only way you get consistent crop or yield of the field, right?
Right.
All right, what's best then? Is it better if they're grown in Spain and put on a ship, and ship are very fuel efficient compared to trucks from Holland?
Yeah.
But it'll take longer time. Like, what's the worst? What's the best? Well,
yeah.
If I want to be a climate smart guy, I'd want to know, like, what were on Einride electrical trucks or Tesla trucks.
Yeah.
And used renewable sources, and
right.
what was on diesel trucks from Scania or Volvo or MAN, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to know.
Right.
Because then I can make a choice because to me, I'm looking at tomato, if I see one is horrible for the environment and one is okay, at least I have the choice.
Yes.
Now, price is the only thing I can make it, I see those are $5 a pound, those are 15.
Right.
5 seems reasonable, right? But if I would see these are 5 and 15 tonnage of carbon dioxide, and these are 15 and 0.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
If I buy them, I can fly to Thailand for the winter, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's all some of it, right? I need to reduce my overall.
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely. There's so many, the average person doesn't think like this. Like the regular average person on this planet is just like, how much was the tomatoes?
And sometimes I ask my wife sometimes, how much was the tomatoes? She's like, I know.
Uh,
They're in the bag.
I just grabbed them. How long a shower did you take? Just an hour.
I was quick in and out. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The water issues around the bigger climate and all the other issues of losing fresh water, for instance. There's the view of conservation and everything, and there's also and gosh, I don't want this to sound like a defeatist view or anything, but sometimes I look at the whole thing like it's already too late and we are now in rescue mode. Like a lot of people will say, we only have 5 more years or 10 more years to fix the climate or it's over. And you've been hearing that for a long time now. And there was this guy, he was a doctor, a PhD guy, a British guy. He's really old. I don't know if he's even alive. He's in his 90s. And is his last name Lovelace or something? Anyway, he'd written these books about the Gaia theory. And he started, he was really well respected in the 70s. And then he started, he was focused on, different people are like focused on climate and people are focused on water and people are focused on different things. And he came up with this theory, this whole system theory, that he said the whole thing actually is all connected and all works together. And it's foolish to try to separate them out. And he also said this thing that started making people think he was crazy. He said the earth is alive and the whole thing is all connected and it's all alive together.
It's like an ecosystem.
Yes. And so he started writing papers and then he started writing books about Gaia. And I'd never heard of him. And so I'm going to say this was maybe 2005 or 6 or something. I was just driving my SUV to the airport to go fly somewhere. And I was listening to a talk radio station and they happened to have this guy on and they were interviewing him. He had a new book out called The Vanishing Face of Gaia. And it was such an ultimately it was to talk about his new book. But his whole takeaway was it's already too late. No one gave a shit about all the things we needed to do a long time ago. He said it's like a speeding train coming at you. There's so much momentum built up. And what little or nothing that we're actually doing is like just shooting a BB gun at the train that's coming at you. And he's like, even if we fixed everything today, if we shut down all CO2 emissions today, stopped everything, it's already way too late. The momentum of what's happening is already so fast. Whatever good things we could do today, we may not see the results for hundreds of years.
So I do want to believe in aliens, but I think we're fighting too much between countries. Like CO2 per capita should be the measurement.
Yeah.
And whoever has the highest must reduce it until, like, if you take, we're 185 some countries in the world, right?
Yeah.
And, cool. Let's do 2 things, right? It's CO2 per capita and it's CO2 per country.
Yeah.
The 10 of each category who has the highest must commit to reducing rapidly.
Yeah.
Everyone else has to reduce as well.
Yeah.
But the top 10, it's like when you do if you go on a march, right? And you're 10 people, there's 2 ways of doing it. If you want to walk really fast, you keep a steady pace and the guy at the back runs to the front, right? But it's important that you keep a steady pace.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you want to last really long, you keep a steady pace and the guy in the front steps aside, stands still for 5 seconds, gets a micro break, steps in last. And then when he's done, he goes, go. And, but everyone got to reduce, but the top 10, whoever you are at any given point, you have to commit to reducing faster than the others. So you're not CO2, so you're going down on that scoreboard.
Right. Right.
Yes, China does more than most countries, but they're 1.5 billion people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who does most per capita? I don't know. Vatican? US, perhaps?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
We got to make choices, right?
It's interesting. It's interesting. Do you remember? I don't know if that was you watch all these documentaries. Maybe it was the second Al Gore movie, documentary, but they were talking about heading up to the Paris, climate change accords. And I think the discussion was India was holding out. And, kind of to your point, there's all these developed nations who are doing all this stuff. And now they're all telling everybody else, you need to stop doing it. And India pushed back and said, this is bullshit. You guys have gotten to have the luxury of the Industrial Revolution and modern world, and you did all this horrible shit to the earth. And we are starting way back here, and we are not going to get to enjoy the benefits like you did. And you're looking down your nose at us, telling us you need to shut down and everything. And so India was kind of saying, fuck you to everybody else for a while. And it was an interesting, lots of negotiations to try to get them to be on board with the Paris Accords.
Yeah, but I also think that we got to understand, one of the things that we learned about COVID is how many IT suppliers that are based out of India.
Yeah.
It became crucial, like when we looked at, not our company perhaps, but other companies that I know of, they're like, yeah, our IT help desk just evacuated. What do you mean? They're working from home and they have no capability. They have no broadband capability. They have no ability. They have desktop computers in the help center because that's the cheapest.
Yeah.
And they have hot seats, right? They don't have personal computers.
Right.
No one can be in the office. Oh, who's answering the phones? Well, nobody.
Right.
And I mean, India has, imagine if they said, well, okay, if you're going to put this on that, we're not going to sell services to you guys. We can charge, whatever the minimum wage you have in US for help desk personnel. And you can see how long your economy would survive, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you can manufacture your own iPhones.
Yeah.
See if you have someone who wants to work in the factory and do that, right?
Right.
Oh, you want to have rice? Oh, funny story. You get no basmati rice, no soup for you, right?
No soup for you.
No soup for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yes, trying to get everybody to play ball all together is easier said than done, for sure.
Especially when you have all these big egos, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so I totally, in that situation with India, I I understand where they're coming from. They're saying that's not fair.
Oh yeah.
And
I don't think it is fair.
Yeah.
I mean, we always have this debate in Sweden, like, why should we go first? Because we can afford it, because we have the technology at our advantage, because we have beautiful nature that we could actually enjoy.
Yes.
We have a lot of surplus that we could.
Yeah.
But then,
I totally agree. It's like, you're right. You can't hold a gun to all these other countries' heads to get them to do it. And so maybe the best you can do is in your country, be a shining example for the rest of the world and say, look what we did. Maybe you could model after us.
We have an interesting case about that on plastic. So plastic, like you've heard about the plastic patch in the South Pacific, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That ginormous area that's just full of waste, which is, it's crazy.
Yeah.
When you've seen the pictures and documentaries about it. And Sweden decided to do something about it. Fun story is that Sweden's net contribution to the plastic patch in the South Pacific is absolutely zip.
Right.
Like, out of all the plastic bags that are purchased in Sweden, I think 99.99 are recycled through our garbage system.
Yeah.
Which means they're taken care of. They're not landfilled. We burn the shit. And they're made out of not plastic that is poisonous, but it's actually FDA approved plastic. So if it would burn, it would only become, water and carbon. Okay, carbon dioxide. Yeah, sure. Carbon monoxide. Yes.
Sure.
But that happens with all fires, right?
Right. Right.
So we're not really participating in the plastic problem, but we want to be part of the plastic solution.
Yeah.
So one thing is that now you can't sell plastic bags without a specific plastic tax. So they tax it. So it becomes more expensive. So paper bags are now cheaper, and our paper bags are actually solid. Like
Okay.
you can get 2 cases of beer in a paper bag, and
Wow.
it'll hold all the way home through the rain. Put it down in the snow when you wait to cross the street. Lift it up again, wet, and you know,
Ah, that's amazing.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, we're talking like something you would be willing to pay 50 cents for, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is typical price for it.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then like in all the greens, vegetable areas and fruits to place, right? You can either choose to pay to get a sugarcane based plastic bag, and they're like 2 dimes a quarter,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
No, they're not even that. They're 5 cents, I guess.
Okay.
Or you can use a paper bag that's free, and you can use it for your food disposal. If you have compost that you do. So in some cities, you put all your food waste in one place, and it makes gas out of it,
Right.
natural gas. And you can use it for that, and thereby you don't have to buy those bags that you otherwise would have to buy
Yeah.
and throw away. You would get them for free if you buy apples or broccoli or whatever.
Right. That's interesting.
And that's even though we're not part of the plastic problem, but we're addressing that part. The part of the plastic problem that we are part of is like, let's call it the Happy Meal plastic without hanging out at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Because kids get a toy, it's fun for absolutely 30 seconds, and then
Yes.
just,
Yep.
that's a plastic problem because it took a lot of oil to make that plastic, a lot of energy to mold it and design it, and they played for 30 seconds. Go,
Exactly. Yeah.
that's a plastic problem we've got to get rid of. And we have a Swedish burger chain. They're actually giving away books.
Oh,
Books, reading level 1 to 6. So 1 would be 3-word sentences, no more than 5 letters in each word. 6 is just full long.
I've probably been to that burger chain for all I know,
You probably have.
but I probably wasn't waiting in a line in my car like I would be at In-N-Out in Southern California or something like that.
And the fries weren't that good either.
No, they weren't that good actually. The McDonald's kind of sucked in Sweden too, though. But the bar's low anyway.
When you come back to Sweden, I'm going to take you to a new burger place we have.
Thank God.
Because you need to learn what burgers should taste like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a local joint we have here.
Oh,
They
that's
make
good.
Excellent smash burgers.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Oh my gosh. Wow. Good
You
times.
talk about waiting in lines. Are you excited about the vaccines?
Yeah, no, yes.
I'll take the vaccine. I need the vaccine. I don't want my kids to be first out. I do want to know a little bit more curious about the long-term effect that we haven't really quite been able to study to the full extent.
I mean, the fact that they're all getting emergency authorization by these different governments to use them.
But I heard the same amount of people that died during 9/11 is now dying every day in the US.
No bueno.
No bueno.
Yeah.
That's not good. And that's the US. All right. We have the rest of the world as well.
Right.
But the good thing is the vaccines are coming, right? But what about that logistic?
The logistics is tough, man.
But imagine you're Moderna or Pfizer, right? You're like, we're done. All right, we can start shipping now. We're opening the factory. Hey guys, how do we ship this? Any special requirements? FedEx is asking, right? Yeah, -60. The fuck?
Good luck with
You
that.
said what? Like turning around. Hey guys, we need some dry ice. Like how much? For about 600 million capsules of vaccination.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're probably saying like, hey, you remember when they froze Han Solo in carbonite?
Exactly.
We need that shit for all these.
and the packaging guy like, do I need gloves for this? How do I do this? Because usually I just took the bags. I took them off the chain. Oh, it's coming off a cold. And then you got to ship it. Like I guess they have few factories.
Yeah.
That make millions of.
Yeah.
What do you call the capsules?
Whatever. Yeah, doses of whatever, vials, whatever.
Vials.
Yeah.
And that they're going to be distributed to all the different states. And within all the states, you're not going to one place, right?
Right.
You're going to go to multiple places, right? Um, and if I understand it correctly, the vaccine is decaying. So when you open the crate, you have, I don't know, 12 hours.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a countdown clock as
Yeah,
soon as you're, yeah.
I imagine they pack this in boxes, you probably want to do it in pallets, right? Because
yeah,
for each box, you lose, I don't know, a foot of insulation. If you only have one vial, it's 2 foot of insulation on each side and one vial, right? If you have two, they're exactly the same size. So you want to get some economous scale, right?
yeah.
But at some point, like if you say you go a crate for 1,000, people don't live in units of thousands. In Wisconsin, there are cities where there are not 1,000 people.
Right. Lots of people live out in the country in small towns and villages.
Yeah.
And you're right. When I watch TV, and they're just now starting to talk about it on the news, about the logistics and how we're going to get it to people. And they're talking about using football stadiums and basketball arenas and big places where you get people waiting in line, I guess, maybe,
Yeah, but that feels like kind of asking for people to cough on each other and get sick.
It does. Yeah. But
like
it also,
I'd rather have in and out, like all the drive-throughs. Like, I don't know if you take, like, if you don't take it in the butt, if you take it in the arm,
a
drive-through would be the best.
Just drive through, shoot me and keep on going. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You swipe your ID, the boop boop.
Yep.
There are what, 52 different state IDs, and then you have everyone under the age of 16, which will be a mess.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. But you're right. How do we get to all the small towns? Because they're talking about giant population centers.
Yeah, like LA is not the problem.
Right. Bakersfield is the problem.
Whitewater, Janesville. All those places.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
Actually, LA is going to be a problem because everyone want to take a car wherever they're going.
Of course, it's LA.
Yeah, and so I thought about it. And schools are actually really good. Like, kids are easy.
Yeah.
If we make the assumption that all kids are in school, you could actually do 500 kids almost in a day.
Yeah, just get them when they're coming into school or whatever.
Yeah. You can take them in class because they sit down in rooms and you roll up your sleeves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope they made it out injectors.
I hope, yeah. And I wonder, we may have talked about this before, I wonder the temperature, how cold they are when they're about to give you the shot.
I think it depends on if you're the first from the crate, because then it's cold as, or if you're, this vaccine might help or might not, because it's 5 hours.
Because I remember for sure when I was in the military, and you're getting shots for everything, right? Because who knows where they're going to send you, right? And I remember one in particular, they gave me like the vial, the test tube looking thing, the woman who was going to, I was getting all these other shots, but then there's one you have to get in the butt. And she gave it to me and it was really cold. And she goes, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to just warm up this thing so that it's not, because it's so much worse if it's freezing cold going into you.
Oh, but imagine you don't have 5 minutes.
No.
I'm like, if you have 975, say they have 1,000 in a crate. And how many can a nurse do in a day, in an hour? 12? That's 5 minutes each. And that's patient in, reloading, swabbing, bite down.
Yeah.
And taking ID and whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And then out. And then next in, wipe down the seat, whatever, next in, right?
Yeah.
If you average 12 an hour or 15, maybe you can do 20 an hour. We're talking a lot of working hours here to get that done, right?
Yeah, it doesn't scale, does it?
If you let other people hold that vial, are you sure that that vial is the same? Did you actually get the vaccine?
Yeah.
You don't have a national vaccinations program in the US, right? Where you have everyone's social security and all the shots that received, dates and type and manufacturer?
We have something like that, but it's probably disaggregated, across individual doctors' records and stuff like that. But there are medical records. But you're right, there's probably no national database that shows everybody in a list and all the vaccinations they've had.
This is one of those things you want to get it on a national level.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want to be able to administer a federal certificate that you've been properly vaccinated by the Moderna vaccine or the Pfizer vaccine. We know you're good for 3 months, and we'll update as we know more.
Yeah.
Because after 3 months, we don't know. Nobody can know what your antibodies and how immune you are, right?
Right. I think this whole thing is just gonna suck. Did you read some stuff about the and I don't mean the side effects like turning into a zombie or something, but this, like, the reaction? I've read some article about after you've gotten the shot, like for the next day.
Yeah, but you do get like the flu. Like you can be really sick.
Because I read a whole article and they said it was horrible. Like it was really bad.
I take that with 2 scoops of salt, not just 2 pinches, because nobody would ever write an article that anyone would read about. I was on the test track and I got it, and next day I played volleyball.
Right.
That's not an article that would get published or read.
That's a good point. Because the article was trying to scare people, I think, and it was because remember, you have to take 2 shots. You have to do another one 30 days later.
Yeah, and so this will be a mess. Keeping track that Rob shows up on day 30, not day 25 and not day 35, because you're outside the range, and you would have to start all over.
Ooh.
And then who pays?
Yeah. That scary article was saying that the side effects were so bad that that people were like, "There's no way in hell I'm going to go get my second shot because I don't want to go through that again." Again, you're right. Take it with a grain of salt. It might all be bullshit, but
but I think those people should have go in a ventilator for 6 weeks and be in coma.
That'll straighten them out.
Maybe they'll rethink that second shot, and I'll do that.
Whatever. I think I'll do that.
That felt nicer, so just hit me. I'll take 2 at the same time. Be a double dose.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. That's crazy stuff, man. It's going to be a lot of logistics craziness. Getting things cold enough. I'm sure we'll hear about all kinds of reports about trucks who the compressors or the refrigeration failed, and we've lost 10,000 vials of vaccine just went bad.
Oh yeah, no, but so we're now thinking, U.S. and Europe where it's semi-civilized. So we will have organized crime stealing these, right?
Yes,
that's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
All right. So here's the crazy thing: if we do cold chain monitoring on these crates, do we also want to remote open them? So once it's stolen, you just boop, and the crate goes, smoke comes out,
right?
And the guy goes, "All right, get 975 people because we need to administer these shots in 5 hours, or this is just waste."
Yeah, right, absolutely. Woo.
And we have social medicine. I'm not going to question what I get.
Right.
I trust the trust in our system is high.
Yes.
If I live in the U.S., in other countries where that's not the fact, then my insurance would give me eligibility to choose where I would go and take my shot. And there's this new shop who's offering flu vaccinations and COVID vaccines. How do I know it's the right one?
Wow.
How do I get, who gets to write into this national vaccination register? So, how do I get that federal certificate?
So a black market for vaccines, and then the idea of fake vaccines.
And we can do a Black Mirror episode of this.
I think that sounds like a perfect idea, because I think all that bad shit is actually going to happen. Like when you think about the drug cartels in Central and South America,
Think about the federal corruption. I mean, I'm not saying that the feds flew cocaine into the U.S.
We would never say that.
Allegedly, I seen a great movie with Tom Cruise where
Yes,
that
yes,
happened.
exactly.
If that happened without anyone knowing, what, like, hey, where's track 45? What do you mean? Now, we had 44 trucks when we started. No, we had 45. It was John driving it. Who's John? I don't know.
And then you're right. There'll be the notion of people with money who will say, "I want to get to the front of the line, and I'm going to pay money to get to the front of the line." And then the black market people will prey upon those people too, and like, "Oh yeah, we're going to hook you up. If you just fly into Juarez, Mexico, we got a whole center set up for you guys. You're going to love it."
You can get anything, and trust me, the day after you won't feel a thing.
You won't feel a thing.
Day after will be amazing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We got a special place in Tijuana. Just come over from San Diego.
So I got a couple of the things that I would like to know what they did in testing to validate, right? Did they try the vaccine on people who had COVID?
I don't know if they knew what they were.
I don't.
I think it was random.
I'd like to know, right?
Yeah.
Did they try it on people who had COVID but did not develop antibodies? What happens if you did develop antibodies and you still get the vaccination because you would like to fly and you want to get that federal certificate so you can start flying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or international, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, that's gonna be...
Like, what other medications do I have to stop some of my medication? Not that I'm on any, but in US, everyone is on Adderall. Like, did they test with Adderall? I mean, if it was US based, someone could say, we got to test it on paracetamol, ibuprofen, and Adderall. Why is that? Well, it's the three most common medicines, right? And oxys. We got to do it with oxys, right?
I think you're on something here really powerful. I think we should start writing the script for the Black Mirror episode for this, because there are so many different ways this is going to go bad. And I think it's all going to happen. Every bad thing we can think of, it's probably going to all happen.
Right, so logistic chains in US and Europe are fairly efficient. You think like Amazon, right? You get things next day delivery, like cross country, whatever little cahoot of a village you live in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's not the case like in Africa. Caribbean has been kind of lousy when it comes to delivering things on time. It's, yeah, man, you know.
Captain Jack Sparrow is down there in the Caribbean too.
Exactly.
There's pirates.
Here comes the big freight carrier landing down. Like, oh, what do you have on your carrier? Oh, the COVID vaccine. All right, thank you guys. Hey, the vaccine is here. Just like the World Food Program is coming to people. It's like people don't wait; they crash the place, right?
Absolutely.
Or even worse, nobody's working right now. It lands. It's hot as fuck. They go, no, it's too hot. We're not working right now. We could wait. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Well, you can't stand in this tin can of an airplane for much longer because the dry ice will melt.
Yeah.
It's too hot. I know it's too hot. We land. We just
Right. You got to get after it.
Why did you land at night? What do you mean land at night? We just got here. We can't circulate for 12 hours. You could have started later. Yeah. All that argumentation, like, you got to take the crates off because we got to go back to Atlanta, wherever they're getting the vaccine from. I guess it's Atlanta where CDC is.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's where the factories are.
Oh, okay.
Administrating it.
They'll put them on Delta Airlines flying out of Atlanta.
Yeah, but the Delta has to unload and return that cycle back, right? And then it's like, no, we can't unload it right now because it's 120 out.
So that's how we're going to get all these airplanes flying again, isn't it? All these grounded airplanes all over the world, they're all going to start carrying.
United already started distributing their planes again.
Okay.
So they are using, because they think that they're going to use all the three carriers to get them out in time.
Yeah.
But actually, I don't think the flight time is the problem.
You're probably right.
I think it's we need to start in every city, in every town, the same day. That's the problem. It's not, it's here's 1 million, and we start here, like distributed. But then you can play back overnight because you took everything they had, and it'll take them time to make a full batch for all the airplanes again.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So, and 1 million takes some time to kind of distribute.
What if you had lines of cars going into every airport, like where you pick up people from the airport or drop them off?
So you know what? You could use the international arrival department because they have all these lines where you have to stand in line, and these booths where you can just, instead of putting your hand in and your finger, you put in your arm, you get shot.
Yeah. I mean, airports might be a great distribution point.
And they're empty nowadays. So anyways, you can use cruise ships. They're also empty.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Who wants to go on a cruise anymore? God.
Also, I meant to bring this up. Like, there are some industries that are profoundly changed with this epidemic. I think retail got a big nudge into online shopping.
Yeah.
Everyone who wasn't online died or took a severe hit and went online.
Yeah.
H&M in Sweden are actually now doing online in-store convergence. So you can shop on your app, and when you can go to the store and pick it up. If you pass by the store, you can get it home, and you can return it back in the store.
Okay.
But you can also, when you're in the store, you can enable online in-store mode. So your app is only showing the inventory of what's in the store.
Okay.
And it will guide you to where it is. And that came through COVID innovation because they had to
treat the store like it's a warehouse or a distribution center and flip back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Distribute to the warehouse.
Yeah. Well, you're right. You got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. And I think cruise ships, are the Carnival of the world, the Norwegian Cruise Line.
Yeah.
All of these, are they going to come back?
I don't know.
They're going to be now, 6 months without $1 of revenue.
Right. Right.
And I don't think Q1 looks too big on cruises.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting when you just back to your H&M thing, you had me thinking. So, really sad news that happened this last week. Some people know this guy, Tony Hsieh, who was the CEO of Zappos, and he died this week in a house fire. Total accident, weird thing. And he was a much beloved guy just because he just had a different view of entrepreneurship and delivering customer happiness and stuff like that. And so, but to your point there, there's in the book, Delivering Happiness, he talks about the early days of Zappos and problems that they were having, like trying to be an e-commerce for shoes, right? Just like Amazon's for everything else. And the idea of getting the footwear companies to drop ship, directly from their warehouses right to the customer. Some could do it, but some were not ready to do it yet.
So DTC, direct to customer, right?
Yes. And so when they were at one of those different times and, where they're about to run out of money and have to go out of business, there was that realization that they had to be kind of a hybrid. They didn't want to have inventory. They didn't want to have to store things themselves, shoes themselves. They were hoping to stay lean, but they had to pivot because of stress of, hey, we're about to go out of business, And so they had to go through that direct drop ship thing directly from a vendor to kind of being like a shoe store, putting, and they actually created something like a storefront that was a hybrid of, is it a retail store or is it just a place with a bunch of shoes, like a warehouse, or distribution center? And it just kind of popped in my head. That was an interesting deal. But when you're under stress, you have to be creative, right? And pivot, whatever you got to do. Crazy stuff.
So I have a friend. He runs in-store experience kind of company. They specialize in making people in the store amazing. Because if you think of it, they're not like, I've had good experiences and I've had mediocre experience or horrible experience.
Yeah.
The great experience is when you come in and you get a high five. How you doing? What are we looking for today? Like, how can I help you? And if you're like, I know, I'm just browsing, you get your space, right?
Yeah.
They sense and they have great empathy and understanding of what you're into, and they see your style. They're not trying to sell you what's hip for kids right now. They
Right.
look at you and like, all right, so he's an IT professional. He wants to go with G-Star brand, but he's not out there. He's more center line. Like, we're gonna go here. Like, they get that. They
Yeah.
understand it, and they kind of tailor your experience for your. But they're so far behind on the whole CRM stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, imagine if you go browsing for TV.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could power the guy in the store with everything that you would if it was an online store.
Right.
Surf, like browse history, preferences, like what he's got at home, what's connected to his home network, anything that you would know of the guy. And you'd
Yeah.
see it on your glasses, like, this is a Samsung guy. Don't you pitch that LG on 50% discount.
Right.
For that QLED 75-inch TV.
You're gonna love
You
it.
will make your, imagine if they could do that. The in-store experience would be totally different.
It's funny you say that. I did on not Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
We have Black Week in Sweden. We take whatever you have and we abuse it and make it horrible. We have Black Week now.
Excellent. I applaud that. So I went on the Costco website for whatever reason, and because they've got a lot of great TVs now. And anyway, long story short, got a great deal on a 75-inch LG, 4K, and all the critical stuff. All you kids who just got your new PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X, that it's not enough to be 4K. You have to have the HDMI 2.1 or higher. So this has that. And it has to have native 120 hertz refresh on the screen.
Nature.
Yes.
What happens otherwise?
Well, it still works. It just, you don't get the experience that these new consoles.
It doesn't have to have. It should have.
It should have, because obviously, because I have a PlayStation 5 plugged into our old TV, and you're right, it's fine. But to get some insane experience, there's this special secret combination of 4K, HDMI 2.1, and 120 hertz native in the TV itself to get that,
the full experience.
To get the full experience, So
does any of them work with Oculus?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because it feels like, so I do like console games, especially race car games. To me, works good on a big TV.
Yeah.
But I think, so first of all, we're going to get League of Legends for the iPhone, on the iPhone 12 and onwards. That's going to be amazing. It's going to do a lot for esports on mobile.
Yeah.
We're going to see that happen, especially in the US where you have 5G readily available on the iPhone. It's not going to be available on all phones in Europe, depending on the bands. Oh, no, okay. Depending on the bands. So in US, if you buy it, you get 5G, all the bands.
Yeah.
In Sweden, you get the band for the carrier that you buy it from.
Oh, wow. So it's hard to roam to a different carrier who may have different bands for 5G.
Yeah, I might want you to ship me an iPhone 12.
We can do that. We can do that.
I'm just going to see how this all plays out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But then, so the next frontier of esport or gaming will be visors of some kind. If you've seen the Drone Racing League, have you seen that?
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. They have these thin visors.
Yeah.
They're super thin, and they connect with an HDMI into the kit that they have in the belt.
That's
so
awesome.
they disconnected they made the visor so small. It's only a screen essentially.
That's pretty badass.
But I think that could be something. Imagine you have a PlayStation or a Xbox, right? They're super powerful.
Yeah.
And then you have the TV that's, even if you buy a new one, you have this thing called eyes and distance and little brothers that run across.
Yes. Yes.
Mothers who stand in the way and tell you, there's all these different noises that you could get away from.
Exactly.
I think that's the next, and that will, then I will get myself a chair, lean back, and just.
That's when we're going to then be able to, the next step will just plug you right into the matrix.
Well, Neuralink, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're going to enjoy your new life. It's much better than the real world.
But you know what I enjoy the most?
Huh?
talking to you about
Yeah,
everything and nothing, right?
everything and nothing. What a great day of everything and nothing.
So we did get some feedback on our first two episodes.
Really?
Yes. First, my uncle trashed us. So I forgot to tell you that my uncle worked for the Swedish Broadcasting Agency for the radio
Oh, wow.
for, I don't know, 40 years.
So he's a
He'd
pro.
been, oh yeah, he's a sound geek.
Yeah.
And the intro I sent you is his son, my cousin, who made it, and he's been a DJ and a sound engineer, like sound technician for. He worked at like big concerts. He
Wow.
played at big stadiums as a DJ. Like
Okay.
he knows his shit, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, Henrik, your lighting is super flat. The sound is horrible. The sound is really, it's hard to hear what you're saying. What is it? I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. It's amateur good, right? But it's not studio good.
Amateur good.
He's like, you should get this Sennheiser 6000 TLS microphone. Oh,
Yes.
Cool. Maybe he understands I'm doing this for free on a budget, like $1,500. Fuck off.
What? Well, but
He's thinking he works for the radio, right?
But I am super excited about this thing that I got. So
yeah, that looks good. Which one is that? That's the Dynamics. All right.
Yeah, Barrett Dynamic.
Dynamics.
And then the headphones are the same. You know, this will sound sacrilegious here because we're wireless guys, but nothing beats wired. I think we've said that before. And then also, well, I'll take a picture of it and send it to you. Actually, here, it just showed up in the mail. So this thing.
Oh, that's the stream cam you talked about. Yeah.
Yeah. So it came in yesterday. So 60 frames per second.
So I'm getting my LED, my studio light, a LED ring.
Yes, you got to have that.
I'm getting that. I'm gonna put that up, and I'm gonna order one of these studio mics that comes like the radio hosts have.
Yes.
That come on arms. So
that's the best.
So you can keep it really close.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That takes a little bit of the acoustic. Oh yeah, that's another thing he said. Horrible acoustic. I love your bookshelf, but it takes a little bit my eyes off the video. I was looking at what kind of books I had read in the background. Like,
right.
Uncle, I need cost efficient tips. So he gave me a couple of them. So
that's good. So he didn't just totally slam you the whole time. Kind of.
No, he did until I begged for mercy and asked, so what do I do? Right. I get that it's not good, but what do I do? So
we're all in the DJ business now, aren't we? Or something.
No, we're in the streaming business.
We're in the streaming business. We're Twitcher, YouTuber, streamer people. A variation of radio.
Did you see the guy who on Twitch streamed the whole UFC event?
No, I didn't see that.
So he filed that he was streaming when he was playing UFC 4, the new game.
Yeah.
But in reality, he was streaming the live event. And you can see him in the corner. You're down in the corner in Twitch. He was super excited because he was watching it live as well, and people he had 1,500 people streaming it on.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Now Twitch is in trouble because they're the distribution, right?
Yes, right. Who knew? I think I should go do something productive, like maybe go to Taco Bell or something now.
Maybe you should take a run.
Yes. What if I ran to Taco Bell? No.
I think that's a half and half.
Maybe do a run and then have oatmeal or something, or
I think intermediate fasting could be a thing.
Oh, yeah, I hear that works. Worked for Jimmy Kimmel.
So I done it twice in my life.
Yeah.
16 hours, 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
It's hard when you have kids and you have, like, my blood sugar goes down. I'm cranky.
Yeah, me too.
But if we eat early dinner, I can get it, really long, and then I skip breakfast and I eat lunch again.
That's cool.
Cleanses my body.
I'll have to try it. I got to do something.
You can't drink wine for 16 hours. It's horrible.
Maybe I should try to go a whole month without drinking wine or something like that and see if that helps too.
Are we doing sober January?
I'll do that. We'll wait till January.
Wait to January. So we got to start on the 1st, right?
Yes, exactly. It's already too late to start for December, so forget it.
Just like with everything in the environment, it's already too late. Just wait a little bit longer.
It's already too late. We're screwed. Oh my God. Good talking to you, bro.
Same. Likewise.
All right. We'll see you on the other side.